Okay, so you're probably used to seeing this picture by now, but here's where we stand with the long tube headers and the K-member issues. I think we've got it worked out. The other day we put in the Procharged urethane motor mounts to reduce the movement of the engine under load, which would reduce the chance of the headers hitting the K-member and the frame. So here's what we've done with the frame. You can see the black marker on the pipe there. That's where I was just marking where the header was interfering with the frame, and I don't know if you can, how good you can see it, but let me just get over here. You can see how I've trimmed the subframe right there to clear the header. I had to take a good about ½ inch off of there. I've gone about as far as I can go there. Can't go any more without cutting into the bolt hole there for the K-member. So didn't have to dent the header pipe, just did some more trimming there. And then I actually went over to the K-member and did some trimming there, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's go over there. So here's where we actually had to trim the K-member. I really didn't want to do this, but you know, kind of had no choice. But I had to take the side of this mount off with a Sawzall, and I know that's obviously going to take some of the strength out of this piece right here, because you know this obviously adds a lot of structural strength to this mount. But what I'm going to do is, once we get the K-member mounted, I'm going to go and get like a little piece of, like a triangle piece of steel, maybe even use this, and just weld something in here to kind of stiffen this a little bit, or maybe even weld a bracket in here just to kind of stiffen that. You know, we've got a little bit of strength on the back there, but I still want to make sure it doesn't break off. So that's what I had to cut off the K-member. My recommendation, if you were doing this, I would just go ahead and go straight with a tubular K-member. Probably eliminate, you know, a lot of issues that I dealt with, but I've already got like 10 grand into this car this year, so I don't want to put any more money into it right now. I'll do the K-member next year, but that's where we stand. I'll just show you the heat shroud stuff that I had to put over the clutch line. That stuff I made in video 4. It's just made to go over clutch cables and wires and stuff, and it's supposed to withstand, I think, like 2,000 degrees of heat. So that's just to make sure the headers don't melt the clutch cable. Also did the same on the other side with the AC line. And there's another shot of the new Procharged urethane motor mount. So what I'm going to do now is just clean up the floor here, and going to get my girlfriend to help me lift this K-member back into the car. So next update will be when the K-member's back in, and we can finally move on to the supercharger, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. Alright, so I'll see you in the next video. Actually, I wanted to take a few minutes and just show you really quickly. This is the old motor mount, you know, the rubber one. I wish I did a comparison. Let me turn this down. I wish I did a comparison before I mounted up the new Procharged motor mounts, but they're already in the car, so I can't really show you. But you know, these are the stock motor mounts, and I thought they were great. You know, they don't look too bad, but I'll show you how much movement are in these. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with the camera. Yeah, there's actually a lot of movement there. It's kind of hard to show it on camera actually, but maybe you can see that. There's a good like 1/4 inch or more, maybe even more, of play in this mount just for me wiggling it with my hand, so I can imagine how much it would move with the engine. So definitely, if you do long tubes or do any type of mod that involves, you know, good access to the motor mounts, I would definitely swap these out with those urethane mounts. You know, there's absolutely no movement at all with the urethane ones. Alright, this is probably the third time I've had this K-member out. I had to take it out yet again. Can't remember if I said that in the last video or not. But so far we've had it in once. Taken it out to grind some bits off it, and then bought some new motor mounts, put the K-member back in, and then we found out that it was hitting in other spots. So I had to take it out again today and grind yet even more off of that K-member. And I gotta say, it's not really what I really wanted to do, but I mean, there's a huge chunk taken out of there, but there's nothing else I could do to get these headers to fit. And like I said, it's going to be good enough for now until I put the tubular K-member in there. So today I took about another 1/4 inch off that to get a little bit more clearance from hitting the pipe. And in here, I've had to grind some of the subframe off, and I don't know how well you can see that. But the last video I talked about it hitting there, and I've been able to gain like an 1/8 inch of clearance at best from the header to the frame rail. I can't really grind anymore because I'll be, you know, grinding into parts of the car I really don't want to. So that's gonna have to work for now. I've test fitted the steering shaft over here, and that doesn't seem to be hitting the headers at all, so I'm not even going to touch that. So now, with everything taken out for the, actually it's the third time taken out, third time going back in, I think, don't hold me to this, but I really think this is going to be the end of these headers. Just be warned, if you ever do these pace setter headers in your Mustang, just be ready to do a lot of test fitting. Be ready to take the K-member out more than a couple times, because you can't really tell where everything's hitting until you get everything bolted up and you get the motor setting in the K-member where it settles. It actually worked out better for you if you just go ahead and use those new Prothane motor mounts for the first time. If you remember back a couple of videos ago, I tried to reuse the original motor mounts. If I had just gone with new motor mounts to begin with, listen to what everyone had said, I would not have had to take this K-member out for a third time. So that's kind of my fault for being an idiot. So if you do headers, specifically these pace setter ones, just buy new motor mounts. I think I've already said this before, but you're going to save yourself so much time. And it doesn't even matter if you go with a tubular K-member or not, because they're going to hit on the frame rail on the car. So whether you get a tubular or not, just make sure that you buy those Prothane motor mounts, because it's going to change the way the motor sits in the K-member. It's going to lift it up a little bit, and then that, for me, that took care of some issues, but it also created new clearance issues that I had to deal with. So I'm not going to make another update video until I've got this K-member in for the last time. Next video, well, the next time I turn this camera on, I'm going to be installing the 60-pound injectors into the Mustang and getting rid of, or forgetting all about this stupid K-member and this header job. So I will see you when I'm moving on to the injectors. Okay, so right now I'm just in the process of putting the 60-pound Ford Racing injectors in the Cobra. Fuel rails came off rather easy. Intake manifold came off kind of easy, or the intake manifold cover came off kind of easy. No gaskets torn or anything like that. So I just got done popping the 60-pound injectors onto the fuel rail. Now I'm going to pop them back into the holes down there in the motor. And all I did was I dabbed a little bit of motor oil on the rubber O-rings there, so they popped in a lot easier. So I'm going to pop these back into the motor right now, bolt the fuel rail back down, actually I'm going to wait to put the intake manifold cover back on, because I'm waiting on some Jetronic to US car adapters from late model restoration, because these 60-pound injectors use US car connections there, And the original injectors on the car use Jetronic, which is a little bit different. So there's actually an adapter that you got to buy to hook the 60-pound injectors with the US car adapters to the harness on the car that is Jetronic, so they don't fit. So I'm going to bolt the fuel rail down, wait for those to come in. Once those come in, I can hook the injectors up and put the intake manifold back on, and after that we'll be moving on to the actual Procharger install, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I'll see you in the next video.